Fuck's sake. Fuck's sake. I think we're going to have to start again, if that's okay with you. Can you remember everything exactly what you've said?
Okay. Probably not, but it'll be similar.
Hello, and welcome back to Strongwoman Highs - Life is a Mishmash. So today we have a very special guest, the most special guest ever. Donna Moore, 3-time world's strongest woman. You've got so many accolades, I don't even know where to begin. If you don't know who Donna is, you definitely should, because basically she's paved the way for strong women into this new generation. I feel like you're one of my inspirations from the start. I remember when I first got into Strong Woman, I listened to a podcast with you and Jenny. Like, that's all I did was find the podcast you and Jenny had done and listen to them all. But then it did mean that when I met you both, I knew so much about you both and
Yeah,
realised I couldn't say any of it because it's creepy.
It's so creepy, but it's okay. We're used to people being like that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You get it now, you get it, so it's fine. But cool. So, well, we'll get Greg cracked into it then. So, what is your Strong Woman High, Donna?
So when you sent me the questions for that, I was like, well, I don't really know because there's so many, really.
Yeah.
And it's difficult just to pick like a couple. So without saying like the whole lot of it has been a high, because it quite clearly hasn't, but I do have to say it's like been a decade or more of like amazing stuff. Like I feel like I've had in my like strong woman life, I suppose, like an absolutely blast for like the best part of like 10 years. So and I think it's been finding out about myself, finding out how strong I can be, seeing the strong woman sport like grow from where I started at in car parks in Scotland to the Rogue Invitational that Arnold and Giants Live. Like it's just been like a massive trajectory. So I think those kind of like that's like in a nutshell. But I suppose specifically for me, like the first time I won a competition, and I think I can't even like necessarily remember specifically which one it was, which I would have to say, but it's like being like I suppose a little bit of validation, I suppose, like for all the hard work they've been doing. I was like, oh yeah, so I'm all right at this. Like I love doing it anyway. But the first time I won, it wasn't like Jenny that's just like won from the offset. She just won and she just carried on winning. So I was just like a bit more of a slow winner, I suppose. So it was probably in a car park competition with like a little kind of trophy, and nobody would have been there, and it definitely would have rained. But it would have been like the best thing ever, I suppose, at the time. Then skip forward would be first ever World's Strongest Woman, which was seen like 100 years ago now in 2016. But that because itself was the first World's Strongest Woman since like the early 2000s. So it was so special to be a part of that. Jenny was in that too, along with loads of other women. Even Olga was in that as well. Sunny, people who are still competing today as well. So it just shows that people can have like longevity in the sport as well if you do it correctly. And then from there, like I say, it's just all been a bit of a blast. At the Stone World Record was quite a bit of a highlight, to be fair, and that stood for quite a long time, only till recently, really. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Although whenever I look at like 170 kilo at the stone now, I'm like, I don't even know how I ever lifted that up ever.
That was an insane feat of strength. That absolutely insane.
And they're like still my favourite event, I would say, that and circus dumbbell. So it's nice to have records in like both of them at some point of the things that they're your favourites. What else? I think actually after that would be competing in the 82 class at OSG. So just decided to lose a ton of weight and go and do the next weight class down. And I went out and came third, which it was fine. Obviously, I would have liked to have won, but realistically, I would have been over 40 at that point as well. Going to OSG and competing from losing a considerable amount of body weight and still being like competitive was like a nice little bit of happiness for me, because it was a real hard slog to lose that amount of weight for me and still stay strong. It was a lot. And And then I suppose the Arnold's, and just recently the Rogue Invitational. If you've seen the Rogue Invitational, wasn't really my best performance ever, to be honest. So, but like at the end of the day, it is what it is. But for women and strong women's sport, it was epic. It was epic. It was such a great event. They did such a great job, and I think it showed strong women in a really positive light. So
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. When speaking about the Rogue Invitational, how did you feel before that competition? Did you know that you were going into it on a bit of a back foot, or were you like, "No, we're going to be sound"?
no, I knew I'd be going into it on a bit of a back foot because I'd hurt myself a couple of weeks before it training the one arm presses, which is ridiculous because like one arm pressing things is like the thing that I like to do the most. But I'd hurt my shoulder, and then I've got an ongoing like hip niggle that's been on and off for quite probably over a year. Sometimes it's all right, sometimes it's not. But just with the amount of events that was in Rogue, it was basically like all the events in the history of strongman all played to like one competition.
Yeah.
And like my like old body was like, what on earth is this shenanigans that's going on, basically? So I knew that it wouldn't be like necessarily like my best performance. I did kind of through the prep, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I love natural stone lifting and one arm pressing things, pretty decent on an axle. Yeah, my deadlift's going to be low compared to other people because it's like raw and it's just not like my biggest lift. Yoke always sucks, but I like power stairs. So, and the pushy barrel thing, I just completely messed that up. Didn't even know I have a clue and couldn't fix it while I was doing it. But it was, it was still like a great giant learning curve at that point, but also great to see everybody else absolutely smashing it. Let's say like Inez.
Yeah.
Lucy on a deadlift, Andrea and her deadlift, to see her get like that 300. Yeah. And AJ, like it's a new face coming through. Like she's such a lovely human being as well. So it's nice to see all those ladies of all shapes, sizes, ages out there showing what Strong Woman's all about.
100%. I agree. I think it was a fantastic showing and like a really massive step forward, I feel like, for Strong Woman. Like you were saying, from like the starting point for you in a car park in the rain with a tiny little trophy to then the Rogue Invitational where like last place got at least a couple of grand as a prize. Like you wouldn't have even thought that at the beginning of Strong Woman that would be a possibility, would you?
No, not at all. And like that the women got the same amount of prize money as the guys. So that's like a massive step forward, and that amount of money, like in Strongman, probably even like Strongman, it's like life changing for people who are at the top. So like for Inez, who's going to put like a deposit on a house or buy a new car or something like that. But those kind of possibilities weren't really there before. So it's nice that has happened for people's like hard work. Even that's the only competition with like that amount of money in it.
Yeah, 100%. But I think that competition being there and starting and being the first one to do it will lead to other competitions doing that. Someone had to take the step, and like luckily Rogue's done it for us and made that first step. So I would hope that this will snowball into other comps as well, won't it?
I really hope so. I do kind of hope that World's Strongest Woman would have its own section. I know it's in OSG, but like to be standalone by itself for like the open class women would be nice. Eventually, how that would work, I don't really know, but that would be a nice thing to have, I think. And you obviously don't have to be like necessarily an open weight woman. Body weight rides, loads of strong people throughout the weight classes that could certainly hold their own. So that would be nice to see that way.
Okay then, so we've had slight technical difficulties, but we're moving on regardless. So, what is your Strong Woman low then, Donna?
The Strong Woman lows, I think would be similar for other people if they've experienced it, is being injured. Being injured is a bit of a downer. So I'd detached like you have, detached a bicep, doing an axle clean,
Yeah.
same thing. So when that happened, I was actually competing at the time, and it was like the first event and the first lift, and I knew when I did it because it was my own fault. The same way, like you obviously knew, you were
Yeah,
like, oh
you just know.
fuck, yeah. But it was the first time I'd cut to 82, and it was a qualifier for one of the other pathways here, which I wanted to be involved in, and I had to kind of carry on really because I'd done the cut and I put the hard work in to get to 82. So I was like, fuck it, we're just gonna have to
Yeah.
carry on. So I suppose that was like a mixed match of a low and a high because I was so upset that I'd done it especially when I'd cut. I think that was the most thing I was so upset about is because I put the hard work in to lose the weight and the first thing that happened was my bicep
Yeah.
popped off. But we just like taped it up and carried on and I won that day. So like that was nice about it. But then obviously having to have surgery, as you know, and the rehab for it. And it's not necessarily like the actual like injury itself, it's like the mental aspect of it. It's like, is this going to happen to another bit of my
Yeah.
body? Because previously I'd never been injured at all. So it was trying to get over the mental side of it really, as well as being in a cast,
Yeah.
and not being able to do like the full activities that you would like to do. Couldn't go to work either as well. So that was a bit shit. And a few other injuries that I've had along the way, like recently my shoulder and on the other side, and my hip on the same side as my shoulder, which is obviously linked. But that's been a bit of a downer for probably about the last year on and off. So that's definitely been an impact in some of the things that I've been doing like personally. And I know we sort of mentioned this at the start, but one of my lows, and it's probably a bit like a controversial topic, is to see people or women at the lower levels of strong women who are just starting out on their journey taking
Yeah.
PEDs. It's a sad part of this sport that people feel that that's something that they need to do when they're just beginning to like learn how to lift. And the advice that people get or where they go to get advice, and people are just ruining their bodies and their systems for what is the thing that I'm asking,
Yeah.
really. And there is so much that can be done before you take like the journey into like PEDs. You need to like actually ask yourself, are you technically proficient? Do you rest? Do you recover? Do you hydrate? Do you eat properly? Do you go and see like a massage, sports therapist, physio, chiro? Do you do all of those things to optimize your performance in competitions and also training? Or are you just going to take steroids to get
Yeah.
stronger? Because it just doesn't work. And that's something that I find really sad about it,
Yeah.
especially at the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think that it might be like, because I always think, I wonder if there's a bit of a correlation with how much the sport has grown in such a short period of time. So say like the last 4 years, it's become like really big, really fast, hasn't it? And like those big shows, so like the Rogue and the Arnold and stuff like that, sometimes I think for a lot of people, it feels like the barrier to entry for that is so high that you would have to take gear to be able to get there. So I think a lot of the thought process of these women is, well, I'll just take gear and get there faster instead of take the time and effort to get to that point. But I think you're a really good example of this because you said to me at the beginning of this podcast, you're turning 45 this year and
yeah.
you've been doing it for 10 years. So like if people say starting strength training in the 20s, early 20s, mid 20s, and are thinking, oh God, I want to be at Rogue, I want to be here, I want to be there, then taking gear in your early 20s seems ridiculous because you've got till you're what, 45 in terms of Claire Myler, your 50s, you could still be at that high level in your
Exactly.
40s and 50s, but if you blow yourself out at 20s and 30s, you're not going to make it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So, like we were just saying there about like about the ages of people, but as well, like you're taking a big decision in like your early 20s, possibly to like take PEDs, and I don't really even actually believe that you know who you are specifically and what you want in the future. So, as well, I'm just going to use like having children as an example, and I totally understand that that's not what everybody wants, and people can say that in their early 20s. I would have said like the same, although I did have two in my early 20s. But like as I was growing up, I would have been like, no, I don't want any. I just want to be surrounded by ponies. Literally, just want horses and dogs. Like I'm not interested in children. I'm an only child.
Yeah.
They're awful, you know. So, but like obviously, as you get older and you get into relationships and stuff like that, you might like change your mind. But if you've filled yourself full of like performance enhancing drugs that have altered like your hormonal chemistry, that decision could potentially be taken away from you. And if you haven't got to the goals that you wanted, World's Strongest Woman, Arnold, things like that, then kind of what was the point? And I think that's something that people really need to think
Yeah, what was
about.
it for?
And like you did make a good point that obviously the sport has expanded so rapidly and there is all these great opportunities. But again, if you're not technically proficient and doing all the very, very basic things, then you're not going to get there anyway, because to get there, you have to tick all the boxes every day, all the time, day in, day out for 100 years, decades. you know, so to like looking
Yeah.
after your body, doing your blood work, making sure that you're still healthy, because at the end of the day, after Strong Woman, so like I've just said that I'm like 45. So when I've like stopped doing this, I still want to be able to walk my dog, live a normal female kind of life without ruining my internal organs or having any of the like health implications because of taking so much gear. And I just kind of really feel that there's a lot of natural pathways as well that people could explore. It's very, very popular, and you still might say that it's still not the Rogue, or it's still not Arnold, or it's still not Giants Live, or OSG, but like really there's a lot to be taken in with the natural pathways as well at the moment. So use like Lucy as my example, and Chloe, and soon
Yeah.
to be Annabelle back in the game, and yourself. So
Yeah.
there's all of this, other strong women as well that you can see that have taken the time to like progress without taking loads and loads of drugs, and also badly advised drugs. Oh my goodness. Don't take advice from the guy in the gym. And that's
No,
so much
no.
like what I hear also through like coaching people as well. Oh, the guy in the gym said if I took this, then this would help me. And I'm just like, no. It's
No.
it needs to be like advised
No.
properly. Do your research of what the potential side effects could be,
Yeah.
and are you prepared? Are you prepared for that? You actually have to ask yourself those questions. Are you prepared for the things that will, not just might, will happen to you?
Yeah.
So, like taking advice of your boy mates at the gym, or taking a bit less than what your boyfriend takes, or something like that. It's just not going to work. It's just not going to work out. So,
No.
do your research, seek advice from other people, and really, really ask yourself: is this a commitment for forever that you wanted to make? That's my
Yeah.
take on that
Yeah.
particular section.
I think that's really good advice, because it's interesting, because I'm in this scenario now, and we've talked about it a little bit before, and I'm quite happy to talk about like where I'm at now. And so I've been in the sport 5 years, and I want to be at that Rogue level. Like that's my goal now for the sport, is to get to Rogue. But I know that I'm probably going to have to take gear to get to that point, because my biggest issue now is that I don't recover fast enough and I don't have a lot of static strength. Both those things will be helped by gear, but I'd said this year I'd set up, yep, this is going to be my year. I'm going to try a cycle, see what I feel like, see if it makes a difference, see what I like, see what I don't like. But I've had real problems with my like hormones and my periods and stuff like that, and I was getting annoyed at myself, thinking, oh god, like this is gonna fuck my year up again this year. Like my last year got fucked up because my bicep came off. This year's gonna get fucked up because my like hormones are all over the shop. And then I speak to people like you and I think, why am I fucking rushing? I've got all the time in the fucking world.
Yeah,
Like why am I like, oh fuck, it needs to be this. Yeah, I need to do this. Like no, it doesn't. I can do it next year. I can do it the year after.
no,
Like
it just doesn't. but that's like a sensible brain. Dare I say it, a sensible brain working and like thinking about like the options of what's there. Like, so if the sport has like had this massive trajectory in such a short time, it's only going to keep going. So think of the
Yeah.
opportunities that are still going to come. It's still going to keep growing. So like, what is the
Yeah.
rush? Like, there's so, to be technically proficient, like it will take you so much further than taking a load of drugs and just being able to stand still and lift heavy, because you need to be able to move,
Yeah.
you need to be able to breathe, you want your heart to work properly, and it's just, there's just no rush, and it's so sad for me to see people at novice level competitions doing that to themselves with bad advice.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I do. I think playing devil's advocate on this side, I do think it's hard for women to find good advice based on PED
Yeah,
usage. But on the other side of that, there is quite a lot of resources. If you want to find that information, you can find that information. I know there's like MST has that guide that is it Harry Squatter on Instagram who does it or something like that?
yeah, Harry
Yeah,
Squatter, and he's really interesting with the things that he writes. It's all like
yeah.
factual,
It's evidence
you
based.
know,
Yeah,
and yeah, and that's what makes like a big difference. And it's in really like simple to kind of understand formats. But also there obviously are other people that you could like
yeah,
ask. Harry Squatter is obviously
yeah.
like a man, so like his is all like factually based, and these are all the things that could potentially happen to you. But if you're wanting to find out what that kind of like feels like or is going to be, there's other people that you could go to and ask.
100%.
And I would say that most people would be pretty honest with those kind of things, because it needs to be like an informed
Yeah,
choice.
100%. And I think the way that you go about asking for that information, like, don't expect that you're going to just be able, like, if you don't know, like, say, Donna or Jenny or anybody, don't just message them and be like, what you on? Because people aren't going to reply to these messages. I think if you're a genuine interested female in this, then making them relationships with like people in the sport and finding out that way, because that's how I have a lot of my information, is just from asking people and having candid conversations with people at competitions or while you're training, and just seeing what other people's experiences are like, because most people are very open and honest to discuss it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Jenny's done a couple of podcasts actually about that specific subject and her limitations and things
Yeah,
within it. So like they're good like resources as well. And I think Jenny would be, like a person that would obviously give you good sound advice as well.
absolutely.
So, those are our options. But like you said, the information is out there if you want to go and read about like factual evidence
Yeah,
based side effects of PEDs.
100%, 100%. That was great. Awesome. Cool. So that's your strong woman lows. So we'll move on then, because we're on a good internet stream. It's not died yet. So what would you say to yourself now then, looking back when you first started Strong Woman?
um, so leading on from what I've just said, you need to be patient. You need to be very, very patient. And strength takes time. Obviously, you get your great newbie gains and everything, and everybody's bouncing off that. But then when that peters off, it's just being consistent. So that's something that I would have known how much consistency it would
Yeah,
actually take, which is all of it. But and just yeah, and to be patient. Like you need to have the patience to put the work in for the bigger picture. Really, like you can't expect that it's all just going to be boom straight away. There's so much to learn, and just treat it as a journey. Basically, those like something that I would like to have been taught. And also, like, progress isn't linear. That's another
yeah,
thing. So, you could be great, making loads of great progress, and all of a sudden, for like a 12-week block, your life could totally go to shit. But that's just like, that's just sometimes the way that it goes. You've got to ride the highs with the lows, let's
yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that. That's good. That's good advice. That good advice. I think this again, and it's similar to what like is happening with social media. It's such a huge social media boom. Everyone just sees the best parts, and they see people
Yeah,
like you
100%.
and the people at the top, like Lucy, just doing these huge lifts and these massive massive achievements, but they don't see the years of work that's gone into that. Social media's only been big for like what 4 or 5 years. Like there's
Yeah.
10 years of work behind that no one's seen happen.
I know. I think it was like it comes up on like Facebook memories, like my first ever deadlift PB, and I think I can't remember. It's like 120 or something like that. So everybody, there we go. That was like my 120. But like you can even film it. Like there wasn't the possibility to film it. Phones didn't film then, and it's a picture on like Facebook, and it's blurred. So like so it's like those are the things you need to think about. Like you say, everybody just generally shows their like highlight reel on their Instagram. People don't show necessarily when it all goes wrong. Yeah, so and also like people's lives interchange as well. Like Lucy did openly talk about a couple of things that have happened recently, like to her, which is like really nice of her to be able to do. But I feel that she doesn't have to, and I don't feel that like necessarily everybody should put like their personal lives on there. But obviously people need to know, or I could even say it now that like obviously everybody has their own shit times in the background. It's just keeping up with the work, even when it is shit, and realizing that stuff on social media is generally the better bits.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's just interesting. I think social media and how fast Strongwoman has grown in the last 2 years, is 3-4 years, has been great. But also you can see where the negatives of that are coming into it as well. But I think with putting more resources out like this, and like you talking so openly about stuff, is only going to improve that in the future anyway for us, because Strongwoman's going to grow. Like we can all see it happening. Everyone knows it's going to happen. Like there's a boom coming soon. Like we can all feel it.
There is. And just for example, with not to go like back on it, but with Rogue putting the Invitational alongside the CrossFit. So primarily the people, like, we can be like honest about it, the people primarily went to go watch the CrossFit. Like there was the best CrossFit athletes in the world, and even I was like, oh my God, there's Tia Claire Toomey. And but the people that came to watch the CrossFit, they stayed to watch like the Strongwoman. So people maybe knew about Strongman, but they didn't know so much about Strongwoman. And they were like, oh, actually, that was really good. It was really fun. I really enjoyed watching you do that. And some of the events like interchange, like the CrossFitters also had power stairs, and obviously so did we. So they can see like the crossover from it. So that can only bring more views to the sport and potentially more athletes as well, because people might not like the cardio aspect of CrossFit all the time and might want to come and change to a different sport. So, it can only be a benefit.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I think anything that gets the sort of vision of Strongwoman out there, regardless of what it's tied with, is beneficial. All publicity at this point, in my eyes, is good publicity.
Yeah. I would agree.
Awesome. Right, so let's move on while the internet is still in our favour. We'll go on to our Silly Goose section.
Silly Goose. It's Silly Goose time, where our lips get loose and our minds run free. Silly Goose. It's Silly Goose time, where we chat a load of shit that's of absolutely no use. It's Silly Goose time.
Now, you did message me to ask what the Silly Goose would be. Obviously, I told you I wasn't going to tell you that because it's all a surprise. I have been in cahoots with Jenny so that we've made sure we have some good Silly Goose questions for you. First of all, though, do you have any Silly Gooses that you would like to bring to the table?
I do not.
Perfect. That's fine, because we've got loads. So
I know. I can well imagine.
Jenny's first one was, if you had a pet Highland cow, what would its name be, and would you take it to competitions with you?
What would its name be? Hadn't really ever thought about a name, to be fair, but 100% if I had one, I would take it to competitions. Like I've already got like a bit of a Highland cow / potato dog that I take to as many places as I could. But if I had a Highland cow, I know old Bob, she hates strongman so bad too. It's so sad when she gets to a strongman competition, when she thinks she's going on a road trip and she gets out at a gym and she's like, what is this shit? I'm here again. What would I call my Highland cow? Probably something a bit more Scottish, probably like MacLeod or something like that. I want a boy cow too. Yeah. So there we go. A boy cow,
okay, fair. So my second Silly Goose then for you is, if you were a bird, what bird would you be and why?
Well, since you took me round all of your birds, I want to be that really big one.
Sea eagle.
Yeah, because first of all, because I obviously like the sea and stuff
Fair.
like that. I mean, I'm not like a big lover of fish, to be fair, but like if you could catch other items, that would be nice. But like I've never seen one of those up close ever, and I was like, they are immense.
Yeah.
So there we go. I want to be
Yeah,
that
fair.
one.
I feel like you've got Stella Sea Eagle vibes as well. Our Stella Sea Eagle's called Camilla. We've got Camilla and Rupert because they're posh, aren't they? Posh birds.
Yeah, they are.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's cool. Well, that leads us on to the third silly goose question then. Why don't you eat fish or ducks?
Oh, I don't eat anything that was like from the sea or the river. I just can't. I know everyone's like, what the fuck? You've got like general issues, but I've just never liked anything like that ever. Even animals that like swam on it or in it. Nah, just
Well,
can't do it. I can't do it. I mean, to be fair, I'm fairly fussy in my old age now to do with most things, but yeah, definitely that's always been a factor. Although I did get drunk once, and apparently I ate duck in the Chinese place, and I was like, this is lovely, but like I was very upset with my own self for that. So I just went. I was like, oh no,
never again.
Now I know I can't eat it.
Never
No.
again. No, that's fair. Well, that led on to the next question that Jenny sent. You can obviously see there's a theme here. That she
Yeah.
wanted to argue back that cows can swim, but you would eat them.
Well, oh,
This is
Jenny.
this is just basically us ripping into your morals now.
Basically, she is. But I mean, like, I would say that they would like choose not to swim, the others all choose. So that would maybe be my like devil's advocate part bit about it on the other side. However, don't really eat that much cow anymore.
No,
So
you can't really argue
I think that seeing them on Insta, no, and well, I suppose you can argue. Like, if someone else was maybe going to cook me a steak to like the way that I really wanted it, I would probably eat it. But I don't go around cooking my own steaks or eating steak and stuff like that
I feel
anymore.
like you're really.
So I only eat
I feel like
turkey.
you're really borderline on being a vegetarian here.
I am basically. Jenny and I just send each other reels about cheese. If I could just live on cheese, then that's what we would. That's what I would definitely do. So like cheese mixed in with like turkey mince. It's like it's the only one that I eat now. I'm so boring, so boring.
I don't think it's boring. It's just
When it comes to
just you've got to pick these things. Do you not find that hard though when you're training and stuff as well, or have you just managed around it? I know there's a lot of vegetarian athletes, like Molly and Josh and all them are vegetarian. They don't struggle at all.
No, I think if I did more like roads into it, I could probably do it more. But eat some other like different kinds of food. But I do eat the turkey mince literally because, and I'm really sad to say that it's just really easy, and it just tastes of whatever you put into it. So if you put like taco flavoring into it, that's what it tastes like. Tomato, it tastes like tomato, and it's an easy way to get like the protein in without having too much of everything else in when you're trying to be 82 kilos when like basically that's how much your shoulders weigh. So it's like
I know, yeah. No, I feel like your cut to 82, your first one was obviously insane, but I think you were saying before you sit quite like comfortably around the 82-ish mark now, do you?
yeah, I'm generally around 80, around 85. When I was going to like Arnold or to Rogue, then I do put on like weight, and then I'm like more liberal with the stuff that I eat. But then that upsets me on the flip side of when the competition's finished, because I'm too heavy for my like general day-to-day life. I just don't like it. So I've just tried to bring it back down as quick as possible after being heavy, basically. But no, generally, unless I'm eating on purpose, generally sit around 85 now.
I don't know whether
So it's
you'll
easy
find this. So I find at 85, I am like lean bean, keen as fuck, love everything. Everything's easy. Life is great. 90 kilos, hate my life. Everything's terrible. I'm a fat mess.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And it's like just the difference of like 10 pounds.
Nothing,
and like some people can put like 10 pounds on in a weekend just by eating. And like literally I could, like, because I was big before, like if I decided I was just going to eat like shit, I would be so big straight away. My body would just be like, oh, thanks. Put it all straight back. Like if I ate as much cheese as I actually wanted to, then I definitely would be like a larger human. But no, definitely I'm the same as you. I prefer my life at mid 80 kilos.
Life's just as easy. I can't even run at over 90 kilos. It's unbearable. It's so hard. At 85, I'll run miles. 90? Nah, dead. Dead in the water. Hate it.
I mean, I'm not running in miles at any body weight, but go you. But it's just that, yeah, it's just better. Life's just a bit better,
Easier,
like
isn't it? Right. So
for me.
final silly goose then from Jenny. What music did you play when you were younger?
What music did I play when I was younger? She hates my music taste, doesn't she?
And we want to know. We want to know what you listened to and what instrument you played.
No
Yes.
way. So the music that I listened to was probably quite varied when I was young. Like I like some of the stuff that my dad listened to, which would be Dire Straits, quite like a bit of Dire Straits now
Nice.
and then, and rock. And then I suppose I like all kinds of varying different kinds. But when I was younger, I was like a Boyzone fan, big
Oh
time.
yeah.
T-shirts, banners, arena tours, the whole lot.
Get on board with that.
But I used to be in the orchestra and the choir at school, and I used to play a bassoon, which is like a really big woodwind instrument. And I didn't want to play that. I wanted to play the oboe, but because I was bigger than the other girls in year 7, I ended up with the bassoon, and they gave the oboe to the little people, and I was really upset about it.
Oh no.
However, I know. However, I really ended up enjoying playing that, so I was really lucky, and I did okay, play for the county and stuff like that. But I can also play the saxophone and like other woodwind instruments because they're all more or less a bit similar. And I've actually just been bought a keyboard for Christmas, so I'm going to be learning that because I can only play it with like one hand. But it's my mission as my new side interest to learn how to play
Oh
it
my god.
properly. Because
so cool.
whenever I'd been out shopping, I'll tell you the backstory for this. We go out shopping with Luke Fusbone buying like presents for his kids, and we're having to go to a toy shop now. Obviously, like my kids are old and grown up, and a toy shop, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I can't do it. So I'm at the back playing the keyboards and playing like Christmas songs on them and stuff, like with my one finger and whatever. So it was really cute. I didn't know that I was getting that, so I got the keyboard for Christmas. So that's my mission. And what other songs do I listen to? It's all really cheesy pop music, 90s retro dance. I would say at the moment is my current vibe.
That is a Donna vibe. That I feel like that's a proper Donna vibe.
It is. It has
I
to
love
be.
that you've got such a musical background as well. I feel like that's been completely missed. Like I want to see you coming out at Giants Live, like playing a saxophone as your intro or something. Like that would be absolutely class. You just come out like saxophone.
Coming out. Yeah. It was one of those ones that, like, you can play like a little bit and stuff, but my friend at school, she's really good at the saxophone and she still plays it now. I was like, I need to learn the Pink Panther, like the start of the Pink Panther song, and that's like one of the things I could. And like, it was like, can you play anything else? I was like, no, I'm just happy playing the Pink Panther. Yeah. So when we were young, she would play like the saxophone, like which is the treble part of the music, and I had my bassoon, so it's a bass instrument, and I'd be playing the bass thing. So we used to spend our summer holidays in between riding horses and playing instruments in our bedroom. So that's how much of like a little geek I was when I was younger.
That's so class. That's so class. That's a part of you that I never knew about. So that's very exciting. Thanks for telling us about that. I also want to put out there that if I ever get to Giants Live, I want you to play my intro song. If you learn how to play Pink Panther on this saxophone, you can play that for my intro song for Giants Live. That'll be my request
I
for
feel
Darren.
Once I've learned 2 hands on the keyboard,
Hell
I'm on it.
yeah.
I'm on it.
Hell yeah. Oh, that's so good. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Donna. Have you got any final words for the podcasters?
Thank you for having me. Have I got any final words? Well, you didn't give me like a preparation for that. That if you're doing Strong Woman, listen to the things that we've said in the podcast about being patient and progress and advice, and just enjoy it because it's only going to get bigger and better.
100%. Well, thank you very much for that, and we'll end it there. And we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Strongwoman Highs, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to support the podcast, then please give us a follow on Instagram. Or if you would like, we're also on buymeacoffee.com/strongwomanhighs. This is where you can send us tips, or you can also join our membership area, which is $5 a month or £4 a month. It's the silly gosling level. We'll post out any extra content that we get on there, and hopefully a few little free giveaways of things as well. The podcast currently doesn't cost a lot to run, which is what we're trying to keep it as, but we would like to be able to cover our costs, and also once those costs are covered, any profit that is made on Strongwoman Highs will be getting saved up and put into a pot for future Strongwoman competitions that we can sponsor. So if you have a Strongwoman competition that you'd like to be sponsored, or if you want to be on the podcast, then give us a shout, send me a message on Instagram or on YouTube, anywhere else you can get us, and we'll get it sorted, because the more women that we can get on, the better. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye!